tech notes describe how I built a JavaScript calculator using only client-side technologies such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The objectives for the calculator were quite simple. First of all, it was going to handle only basic operations, add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and also basic memory operations such as add to memory, subtract from memory, recall, and clear. The first step was the design of the calculator. As you can see on the image on the left was my first attempt. I thought it was looking very nice, except for one thing, that I actually forgot to include the clear key. So what I did is I settled for the image on the right, where I reduced the width of the display and sort of squeezed the clear key right beside it. Now that the calculator has been designed, the next step is to build it using HTML. What I did was basically use a form and use the input type as button for all the calculator buttons. So here now I'm going to copy this over to my HTML document, which I have right here. And I'm going to edit, and I'm going to paste, and I am going to save. Next step is to minimize this, bring up File Explorer, and double click it. And there it is. It's not exactly the way I would like it to look, but it is a start. Now we go a little further down. Here is a close-up of what the calculator looks like right now. But this isn't the way it's going to end up. We can start Java coding. Here are some of the considerations that I took into account when building the functionality of the calculator. Alright, I need a variable to hold a memory. Memory operations is just addition, subtraction, recall, and clear. And I also needed to know exactly where the calculator was, whether the next button that was clicked would concatenate the digit to the existing number or would have to start a new one. I also needed to know when operation was executed. And finally, I needed a second variable, or a second variable to hold the results so far. So that means that the calculator would work in such a way that the user would click a 5, then a plus sign, then a 2, and from there you could click another operation which would actually add the two numbers, or you could click the total button which would display the total. After that, if the user started clicking another number, then the existing number in the display would simply erase. What I did is I defined a series of states, 3 to be exact, and here they are listed in this table. Basically it's when the user is entering a number, and basically it needs to be concatenated to the existing number in the display. 1 and 2 are very similar because in both cases it is a new number, and whatever number was there needs to be cleared before the new one is put in. But in the case of number 2, a calculation had already been done, so that means that not only the display needed to be cleared, but also the accumulator. Down here we have the function that I created, which was called process button. I was going to pass to it a token, and I was using 4 variables: the accumulator, the state, the memory, and the pending operation. Down here is how I assigned the tokens. Each button got converted to a numeric value. The digit buttons just got converted to 0 to 9. However, these other buttons here, whether it be the operations or the memory operations, got converted to a token from 10 to 20. Now here is the code which I am going to transfer to the notepad. Okay, so now I've selected and copied the JavaScript code, and I'm going to switch over to the notepad file. I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so that is done. One more thing that I want to mention is that I also modified the input type button tags to include the call to the JavaScript code. So having done all that, we can now go ahead and we're going to save. I'm going to minimize this. Now I'm going to get the file to show, and I'm going to double click it, and there is our calculator, and it should be fully functional now. Now the next step is to make it look nicer. Let's scroll down to the CSS section. So here we go all the way down. Oh, wait a second. I do want to discuss these notes for a second. I think it's some important stuff here, particularly this one, C. I added code to make sure the user couldn't type in 2 decimal numbers, since that usually doesn't make sense in our numbering system. And E, this is something else that's very particular to JavaScript, which has to do with how data is interpreted. As the document mentions, a variable can have a string, could have a number, could have a boolean, it can even have an object. The thing is that sometimes JavaScript doesn't know which is which, and if I try to adding 2 numbers when they were initially assigned as a string, it will most likely concatenate them. So it's just a matter of using the number function to convert them back into numbers, and making sure that when you add values together, you're going to get the sum of the numbers and not a concatenated string. Okay, so let's move on here. And here it is, making it look nice. Now, as I discussed earlier, I wanted the calculator to look nice, to have buttons of the same width, to have some sort of visual appeal to it. And after looking, I found this this page, which actually is very similar to my problem, because the fellow that posted, he wanted to do the same thing I want to do, except that in his case he had anchors, not buttons. But one of the answers was very fitting both to him and to me, and this poster provided this this link, and we are going to go to the link. This is going to take us to a website called JS Fiddle. This website allows people to come in and to start typing JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, and to actually see the results right away. In this screen that you're seeing, you're going to notice that it's divided into 4 different parts. The first part here, which I call the main part, but it's not, there's no real such thing as a main part here. This is for your HTML. This part here, which is blank, is for your JavaScript. This part here is for your CSS. And this part here is the results. And here's where the results are displayed. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to run it. And to do that, what you do is you come over here and you click on this little run button. I'm going to make that a little bigger. So there it is. And I am just going to click it, and I am going to go back to normal size. And basically we're not really seeing any difference here, because I ran what was already there and that was already displayed. But what we're going to do is that we are going to take this code here, and we are going to modify it, these guys right here, to suit our own needs. As you can see right now, it's filled with anchor tags. I do not use anchor tags. I use the buttons, as we have seen in the HTML that I presented. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to move a few things around. Before I do, let's make a small modification. Let's go over here to the area where the CSS is located, and let's just for entertainment purposes, let's change this to blue. This will help, because now we can actually see, because if I run it now, it's just going to display the same thing that you're seeing right now. So by switching that over to blue, at least we can see that something is happening. So I am going to make this guy smaller, and now I'm going to go over here where I had mentioned. I'm going to click run, and there you have it. It's working. Okay, let's scroll down our document here a little bit. Here I have an image of the screen that we just saw. Here we have a close-up of specifically the CSS part of it. That's what we're going to end up modifying it. Here what I did is I wanted to see exactly what was going on, so I changed a gray to blue, and I ran it, and that gave me expected results, which I was pretty happy with, because at least I knew that things were happening there. And here's the first modification that I did, is that I substituted the anchor tabs for the input, and that is what I am going to do right now. Okay, so let's switch back to the source, which I have right here, and I've already selected it, and I'm just going to copy it over. Note that I'm taking everything between the 2 form tags. So now I make that smaller, And now I'm going to bring back my JFiddle. So now I am going to select everything that is in between the div tags, and I'm simply going to paste it. Now we're not exactly done here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll this over so I have some space. Right now I just want the buttons in the grid. I want to leave out the display and the clear button. So I'm going to select that, which is right here and right here, and I am going to eliminate that. So I just hit the delete, and that is basically it. However, there is something in the document that I did. I removed the on click. Let me make this a little bit bigger here so we can see more. There we go. I removed the on click event because I don't have any JavaScript here. But what I'm going to do here is I am going to try to just toss in an empty function so that it will not error out on me. So I'm going to paste it here, and there is my function. The only difference is that there's no code in there. We're ready to see what it looks like, so let's click run and see. Okay, so that's what it's looking like right now. At the CSS, you're going to find this class right here. This class is to give the anchors a nice look. However, I don't have anchors. I have an input of type button, so I need to be able to switch that so that instead of saying A, it says input type. So let's do that right now. I am going to go ahead and I am going to open that, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And here is my A, so I'm going to remove the A. I already have the correct text in the clipboard, so I will just paste it. So now that that is done, we know that instead of applying this class to the anchors, it's going to apply it to my input type, specifically of type button. Okay, so let's run it. First thing I'm going to do is go back to normal size, and now I am going to click the run button. So when I click the run button, you will notice that it did not do anything. This was a problem I had, and I had to debug it. In the documentation, I include the steps that I took to get the right values for the properties of the classes. To simplify things here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste in the final results. I already have the right CSS classes in the clipboard, so I'm just going to paste them. I want to have a little closer look at this, so let's get in closer. As you can see, I have three classes. The first one is for the first container, which is basically the dark gray. The second class is for the form, and actually what it's going to look like is going to look like a very light gray color frame surrounding the key buttons. And finally, the last class is the visual aspect that I decided to give the buttons. And now that I have that, I need to go ahead and add the text field and the clear button. So I am going to do that now. Let me get that into the clipboard. Okay, I got it. So now I'm just going to copy it, and I am going to paste it exactly right here. So there's the paste, and let's have a closer look at that. So there it is. As you can see, the input button type is basically the same as the rest of them. There was no change there. Where I did make a few changes was to the input type text. I added a style, and in that style I set a few properties. Perhaps the most important one is this right here, the RGB. To define the color, we're going to use a program that is included in all Windows version, being the Microsoft Paint program. Let me get that on screen. Okay, so here it is. So what we're looking for is a type of a greenish color, and the reason I wanted to set a background color to the text box was that I wanted it to look or mimic a real LCD display, and usually these displays are a sort of an olive green type color, so I definitely wanted to do that. So in Paint, what we do here is we first select the color that most resembles it. Actually, here is already selected, which is this one, and then I went ahead and I click on Edit Colors. Once I've done that, you can see there's a crosshatch here, and you can drag it until you find more or less the color you're looking for. So the color I'm looking for is more or less that, but a little lighter. So now I drag this little triangle here and I get it lighter. When I have it the color that I want, I can now look at these three values that correspond to red, green, and blue. I wrote these down, and these are the values that I used in that RGB function. I'm now going to close this, and I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to go a little bit big here. So here they are, the three values. Obviously the values that we just saw in the paint don't correspond to these values. That's because I couldn't quite get the same color again, but I was pretty happy with these three values. There is one more thing that I needed to do, and that is to have this class here also be present in the form. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it right here. Now, having done all of this, we should be ready to run it and see how it looks. One of the things that I discovered was that if I remove this class here, the calculator totally lost its format. It just did not look the way I wanted it to. I didn't go too deep into it, so I just decided to leave the class in both tags. So now we're going to go small, and we're going to click the run button, and now that is what the calculator looks like, and that was exactly the look that I was looking for. I have the calculator looking the way I want. What I need to do is copy the HTML and the CSS back into my HTML file. So let's start with the HTML. I'm going to select all of it, and I am going to copy it. Now I'm going to bring up the notepad file that contains that, which is this one here, and we have the HTML right here in the body. So I just paste it, and now I'm going to do the same with the style. So we're going to go back to the JS Fiddle. We're going to go to the style, and we're going to select all of it, and we're going to copy it, and we're going to go back to the notepad, and I am going to paste it here. Now that we've done that, all I have to do is save it, and we're all set to test. Now I'm just going to bring up the File Explorer where I have the HTML file, which is actually calc01. So I'm going to double click it, and that is looking pretty good. So let's just give it a quick run. 78 divided by 2 equal 39. So I am pretty happy with that. The only other thing is that I really would like the calculator to be centered on the screen. So I went back and started another round of research. I found to center the calculator was more CSS styles that needed to be applied to this div right here. So what I did is I copied that new div to the clipboard, and right now I'm going to paste it, resulting in what you are seeing here. Now I am just going to go ahead and save. I'm going to go back to the calculator, and I am going to reload it, and there it is, nicely centered. Notice how when I resize the browser window, it actually recenters. An added bonus that I actually liked. And so that is my adventure in putting together this JavaScript calculator. If you're still with me, thank you very much for watching this somewhat long TechNote video.